Better conversations. A practical guide to speaking clearly, listening well, and handling difficult moments. Introduction. Every important conversation has two parts: what is happening between you and what is happening inside you. The part between you is easy to notice. Someone raises their voice. A deadline is missed. A family member makes a hurtful comment. A partner becomes quiet. A colleague interrupts. You feel pressure to answer immediately. The part inside you moves even faster. Your body tightens. You prepare a defense. You decide what the other person must be thinking. Before you have chosen your words, an old reaction is already on its way out. Better communication begins in the small space between that feeling and your response. You do not need perfect words. You need enough calm to be honest without being cruel, enough confidence to be clear without becoming aggressive, and enough curiosity to learn what you may not yet understand. Your voice matters as much as your wording. A respectful sentence delivered with contempt will still feel disrespectful. Slow down. Use fewer words. Leave room for the other person to respond. And remember that communication tools have limits. If someone is threatening, abusive, or violent, your priority is safety, distance, and appropriate support. You are not responsible for finding the perfect sentence that makes unsafe behavior stop. With that in mind, let us begin where every calmer conversation begins, with a pause. Chapter 1. Create space before you respond. When emotion rises, speed becomes the enemy. The first thought that enters your mind is rarely your wisest one. It is often a defense, an accusation, or an attempt to end the discomfort as quickly as possible. A pause is not avoidance. It is a way of protecting the conversation from a reaction you may later regret. Sometimes you need only a few seconds. You can say, "Give me a moment. I want to answer carefully." That short sentence tells the other person that you are still engaged. You are not ignoring them. You are choosing your response. At other times, you need a real break. Be specific about it. "I'm too worked up to talk well right now. I need 20 minutes, and I'll come back at 7:30. A clear return time turns a retreat into a responsible pause. Notice the difference between taking space and disappearing. Whatever closes the door. "I care about this, but I need a little time before we continue" keeps the connection intact. Silence can also be useful. You do not have to fill every quiet moment with more evidence, more explanation, or another version of the same point. Once you have spoken clearly, you can say, "I've shared what I needed to say. Take some time to think about it." The goal is not to eliminate anger. Anger often carries valuable information. It may tell you that something feels unfair, unsafe, or out of line. The skill is noticing the anger without handing it control of your voice. When you feel yourself becoming reactive, name what is happening inside you. "I'm getting angry, so I'm going to slow down before I answer." That is ownership. You are describing your state without making another person responsible for managing it. A useful practice is to choose one sentence now that you can use when your mind goes blank. Keep it simple. "I need a moment." Or, "I want to think before I answer." Rehearse it when you are calm, so it is easier to find when you are not. Chapter 2. Lower the temperature. Heated conversations tempt us to match whatever we receive. The other person gets louder, so we get louder. They accuse, so we counterattack. Soon, the original problem is buried beneath a new argument about tone, blame, and who started it. De-escalation begins when one person refuses to add more heat. Lowering your voice can change the pace of an argument. You might say, "I want to keep talking, but not while we are yelling. Let's lower our voices." If that does not happen, take a break. A limit is meaningful only when you are willing to act on it. When a discussion is going in circles, reduce its size. Ask, "What is the one thing we need to figure out?" A smaller question is easier to solve than a history of everything that has ever gone wrong. You can also step out of the contest over who is right. "I would rather solve this than prove who won." That does not mean facts are unimportant. It means that being correct is not always the same as being effective. Owning your part can help without requiring you to accept all the blame. "I can take responsibility for what I did, even if we remember the beginning differently." This keeps your accountability separate from the other person's version of events. If someone needs a break, do not force a conclusion at the worst possible moment. Ask for a plan to return. Take the time you need. When can we come back to this? A conversation can pause without the relationship being abandoned. The central question in conflict is not, how do I defeat this person? It is, what will help us think clearly enough to deal with the real issue? Sometimes the answer is a quieter voice. Sometimes it is one focused question. Sometimes it is 20 minutes apart. Chapter 3. Speak with clarity and confidence. Clear speech is not cold speech. It is respectful communication without unnecessary apology, vagueness, or self-erasure. Many people weaken an idea before anyone has considered it. They begin with, this may be a bad idea, or, I'm probably wrong. A steadier opening is simple. I see it differently. Here is what I'm noticing. The idea can now be judged on its merits. Questions also become stronger when they are direct. Do you have 5 minutes for a quick question? Is clearer than apologizing for being a bother. I would like to ask for some help with this report, gives the listener something concrete to answer. Confidence also means giving a real answer. I'll try often hides the fact that the deadline is impossible. A more useful response is, I can't promise Friday. Tuesday is realistic. The other person may not love the answer, but they can plan around it. The same principle applies to saying no. A long explanation can sound like an invitation to negotiate every detail. A respectful no may be only one sentence. I can't take that on this week. Or, thank you for inviting me, but I'm going to pass. You are allowed to disappoint someone. Disappointment is not proof that you have done something wrong. If the request conflicts with your limits, you can acknowledge the feeling and keep your answer. I know this may be disappointing, but I'm not available. When you cannot do the whole task, you may still offer what is genuinely possible. I can't complete the report, but I can review the summary. This is a choice, not an obligation. Do not offer an alternative merely to make your no easier for someone else to hear. The clearest answer is often the kindest one. A reluctant yes creates resentment. A vague maybe creates false hope. An honest no lets everyone move forward. Chapter 4. Set boundaries you can keep. A boundary is not a command that controls another person. It is a statement about the conditions under which you will participate and the action you will take if those conditions are not met. You have to respect me expresses a wish. If the name calling continues, I will end the call, and we can speak tomorrow describes a boundary. The difference is control. You cannot guarantee that another person will stop calling late, making jokes at your expense, or raising their voice. You can decide when you answer, whether you remain in the room, and when the conversation ends. Good boundaries are specific. I need space can mean many things. I need tonight to myself, and I'll contact you tomorrow morning is easier to understand. Stop calling so late becomes, I do not answer non-emergency calls after 9. A boundary should also be realistic. Do not announce a consequence you will not carry out. Start with the smallest action that protects your well-being. You may change the subject, end a call, leave the room, decline a visit, or postpone a decision. There is no need to make the boundary sound like a punishment. Calm language is enough. I'm not discussing politics at dinner. If the subject comes up, I'll step away. The purpose is protection, not revenge. Repeated pressure does not require a new explanation. You can use the same sentence again. I know you want me there. I'm still not available. Consistency is often more powerful than a longer argument. Chapter 5. Disagree without attacking. A disagreement becomes personal when we stop discussing the idea and begin judging the person who offered it. Calling an idea stupid creates defensiveness. Naming a risk creates a discussion. I see one concern. This could double our delivery time. Now the group can examine the concern rather than defend its intelligence. Be clear about what supports your view. I'm leaning toward this option because speed matters most here. Or, I'm basing that conclusion on last quarter's customer data. Evidence is more useful than words like obviously and everyone knows. Questions can challenge an idea without humiliating the person. Ask, how does this recommendation solve the problem we identified? Or, what evidence supports that conclusion, and what might change your mind? These questions invite reasoning. Look for the agreement beneath the disagreement. You may share the same goal but prefer different routes. Naming that can reduce unnecessary conflict. We agree that the launch must be reliable. Where we differ is how much testing we need before release. Some issues must be decided, others can remain open. Before ending with, "We will never agree," ask, "What do we need to settle now, and what can we leave unresolved?" Mature communication does not require complete agreement. It requires clarity about what happens next. Chapter 6. Listen for what matters. Listening is not silent preparation for your rebuttal. It is the temporary decision to understand another person's experience before defending your own. Begin by finding the central point. What is the main thing you want me to understand? Then reflect it back in your own words. It sounds as though the delay made you feel unimportant. Have I got that right? This does not mean you accept every claim. You can remember an event differently and still listen to its impact. My memory is different, but I want to understand how it felt from your side. Your version will still be available when they finish. Be careful not to turn a specific complaint into a total judgment of your character. If someone says that one choice hurt them, do not answer as though they called you a terrible person. Check the meaning. Are you saying that this particular thing I did hurt you? Validation is part of listening. It means acknowledging that a feeling exists and matters. That sounds really disappointing does not mean you agree with every interpretation. It means you are not arguing with the person's emotional reality. Avoid rushing toward reassurance. You're fine. Stay positive. And at least it wasn't worse can make pain feel inconvenient. Curiosity is more helpful. What has been the hardest part? Or, would you like me to listen, help you think it through, or give you a distraction? If you are unsure what someone meant, ask before building a case against your assumption. You seem quieter than usual. Is something wrong, or are you simply tired? Facts create a starting point. Guesses presented as facts create a fight. Chapter 7. Turn complaints into requests. A complaint describes unhappiness. A request shows what improvement would look like. You never help leaves the other person defending their history. Could you load the dishwasher by 8 tonight? Gives them a clear action. Be more responsible becomes, if you are going to be late, please text me before we are meant to meet. The most useful requests are observable. Another person cannot directly perform care more, be respectful, or support me. They can put their phone away during dinner, let you finish a sentence, handle bedtime on Tuesdays, or call for 20 minutes on Sunday. Include timing when it matters. Call me more often has no shared definition. Could we have a 20-minute call every Sunday evening? Make success visible. Feelings can add honest context when they are not used as accusations. When my question goes unanswered, I feel overlooked. Even if you need time, please let me know that you saw it. This connects the event, its impact, and the request. A request is not a disguised demand. The other person may say no or offer another option. If no answer is acceptable except obedience, you are not collaborating. You are issuing a command. Sometimes a command is appropriate, especially in safety or formal authority. In ordinary relationships, naming your real need and discussing options usually creates a stronger agreement. Chapter 8. Give and receive useful feedback. Useful feedback is specific enough to act on. It describes what happened, explains its impact, and points toward the next step. This report is not good enough provides no direction. A clearer version is, before I can approve this, it needs a stronger recommendation and the numbers that support it. Positive feedback should also be specific. Good job feels pleasant but teaches very little. Your summary made the recommendation easy to follow tells the person what worked and what to repeat. Keep behavior separate from identity. You have a bad attitude is a character judgment. During today's meeting, you sighed and spoke over two people's names' behavior that can be discussed. When receiving feedback, slow down before defending yourself. Ask for a concrete example. Ask which part is your responsibility. You can say, that is difficult to hear, but I want to understand where the work fell short. Feedback about one action is not a verdict on your whole identity. Remind yourself, this is about something I did, not everything I am. You also do not have to accept vague attacks disguised as feedback. Words such as always and never often create more heat than clarity. Ask, could you give me one specific example? That question moves the conversation back to something you can examine. Chapter 9. Respond to disrespect without joining it. When someone interrupts, insults, or talks down to you, the temptation is to return the same energy. That may feel satisfying for a moment, but it usually costs you control of the conversation. Address the behavior directly. Let me finish this thought, and then I want to hear your response. If one person repeatedly interrupts in a group, use their name and set the order. Jordan, let me finish my sentence. Then you are next. If a joke hurts, do not laugh simply to protect the other person from discomfort. That joke about me is not funny to me. Please stop. When a comment crosses a line, you can pause without launching a counterattack. I'm going to stop here. That comment became personal. If the pattern continues, end the exchange. This is no longer respectful, so I'm leaving the conversation. Manipulative pressure often invites endless explanation. Shorten your response. I'm not making this decision under pressure. I'll give you an answer tomorrow. If facts keep changing, observe the mismatch without arguing about character. Those statements do not match. Which one should I rely on? You can own your choices without accepting responsibility for everything. I will take responsibility for what I did. I will not take responsibility for decisions I did not make. The aim is not to find a clever comeback. It is to protect your dignity, state reality clearly, and leave when a productive conversation is no longer possible. Chapter 10. Apologize in a way that repairs. A strong apology does not explain the hurt away. It names the action and accepts its impact. I'm sorry you feel that way places the problem inside the injured person. A real apology sounds like this. I'm sorry I dismissed your concern. Remove the word but. I'm sorry I raised my voice, but you upset me first is a defense wearing the clothes of an apology. Keep your responsibility whole. I'm sorry I raised my voice. That was on me. The other person's behavior can be discussed separately. Intent matters, but it does not erase impact. You can say, I did not mean to hurt you, and I can see that I did. Stress may explain your behavior without excusing it. I was stressed, but that does not justify the way I spoke. Specific apologies feel more trustworthy than sweeping ones. Name what you did, shared private information, interrupted repeatedly, missed an agreement, or spoke with contempt. Then explain the change you will make. Avoid promises you cannot guarantee, such as, it will never happen again. Describe a practice. The next time I feel myself losing control, I will pause the conversation before I raise my voice. Finally, allow the other person to have their own recovery time. An apology does not purchase immediate forgiveness. Ask, what is still bothering you? Or, what would help make this right? Then listen to the answer. Chapter 11. Communicate in close relationships. The closer a relationship becomes, the easier it is to assume the other person should already know what we need. But mind reading is not intimacy. Clear requests are kinder than hidden tests. If you loved me, you would know turns affection into pressure. Say what matters. This is important to me. Would you be willing to do it? If you feel neglected, request shared time. Could we keep Friday evening free for the two of us? If phones are getting in the way, ask, could we put our phones away during dinner tonight? When something is wrong but you are not ready to discuss it, do not pretend that nothing is happening. Give honest reassurance and a return time. I'm upset, but I'm not ready to talk yet. Can we speak after dinner? Shared homes benefit from visible agreements. Resentment grows around vague expectations. Write down the chores, expenses, and responsibilities, then decide who owns each one. Clarity may feel less romantic than hoping everything happens naturally, but it prevents many avoidable conflicts. With children, correct behavior without attacking identity. Hitting is not okay. You can tell me you are angry, but you cannot hit. A child who leaves laundry on the floor needs a concrete direction, not the label lazy. Safety instructions should also be specific. Be careful requires a child to guess what danger you see. Hold the railing and take one step at a time tells them what to do. Limits and empathy can exist together. It is okay to be upset. The answer is still no. This teaches that feelings are welcome even when the boundary remains. Chapter 12. Make workplace communication actionable. At work, vague language creates invisible gaps. Handle this soon, keep me posted, and someone should follow up sound clear until people discover that they imagine different owners, deadlines, and outcomes. Assign one owner and one date. Lee, contact the vendor by noon and update the group. Delegation should include the result, the deadline, and any important limits. Take the budget section and send me a check draft by Wednesday. You can make decisions within the approved budget. Check with me if the launch date may change. Meetings improve when questions have a target. Thoughts may produce silence. Ask, what is the biggest risk you see in option A? Before a decision, invite disagreement. Does anyone see a risk we have missed? When an issue does not belong in the current discussion, preserve it without letting it take over. This matters, but it is not part of today's decision. I'll add it to the follow-up list. Written communication needs the same precision. This is urgent does not tell the reader what to do. Please approve the budget by 4 because the client review begins at 5, includes the action, time, and reason. If an emotional exchange becomes difficult to manage in writing, change the medium. This is getting hard to sort out by email. Can we talk for 15 minutes today? And if you draft a message while angry, wait. Read it again after your body has settled. Chapter 13. Negotiate, support, and know when to end. Negotiation becomes more productive when you look beneath a position. A person asking for a higher price may need to cover additional work. A person rejecting a schedule may be protecting another commitment. Ask, what do you need from this agreement? Use shared standards when possible. Compare the offer with market rates, the work included, the available time, or the agreed budget. That price is beyond my budget. Can you explain what is driving it? Invites information without insulting the other person. State your limit honestly. My budget is $5,000. What can you offer within that? If no agreement is possible, name the next step without turning it into a threat. If we cannot reach an agreement, I will need to delay the purchase. When someone is grieving or afraid, resist the urge to negotiate them out of pain. They may not need a lesson, a silver lining, or a comparison with someone who has it worse. Presence is enough. I'm so sorry. I'm here with you. Offer practical help when you can. I can bring dinner on Tuesday or drive you on Thursday. Would either help? A concrete offer is easier to accept than, let me know if you need anything. Some conversations need to be redirected or ended. You can say, that is personal, and I would rather not discuss it. If you need time after conflict, do not disappear. I need space today. I will contact you by tomorrow morning. Temporary anger should not be disguised as a permanent decision. I'm done talking for tonight, but I'm not making a final decision about us while I'm this upset. When a decision truly is final, clarity is more respectful than false hope. Say it directly and compassionately. Do not leave the other person searching for a hidden promise. Conclusion. Better conversations are built from a small number of repeatable habits. Pause before reacting. Describe behavior without attacking character. Separate what you observed from what you assumed. Name the impact and ask clearly for what you need. Set limits through actions you control. Listen long enough to understand the concern beneath the words. Take responsibility for your part without accepting blame that is not yours. And when you cause harm, apologize specifically and explain what you will do differently. You will not use these skills perfectly. No one does. You may notice the right sentence 5 minutes after the conversation ends. That still counts as learning. Return and repair when you can. I did not handle that well. Let me say it more clearly. Choose one idea from this audiobook to practice this week. Perhaps it is taking a 20-minute pause and giving a return time. Perhaps it is replacing a vague complaint with one observable request. Perhaps it is saying no without writing a speech to justify it. Start small. Use words that sound natural in your voice. Speak a little more slowly than your emotion wants you to. Stay curious for one question longer. A better conversation is rarely created by one brilliant sentence. It grows from steadiness, clarity, respect, and the courage to choose your next words with care.